drawing outside in perspective and just being more creative and interactive with my environment. I work as a preschool teacher. Currently, I'm just a support staff. Push myself out of my element to go outside. So Wednesday is essentially I have to prioritize my evenings of going to pick up food from the food bank, which means because of travel time, I don't think the food bank is restricted to just for the homeless. And I think really with the time right now, people really should look at the free resources that we are given to support yourself and your family. I thought it might help to show the kind of food that I do get for the week when I do go to the food bank. So I did get and every week we get something differently depending on what the food bank actually has. But I got rice noodles, oatmeal, and just like cans of food for like a quick dinner. And like as a teacher, these are super helpful because like when I come home and I just want to cook something really fast. And then there's peanut butter, got diced pears, diced fruit. I also got mac and cheese. How I prioritize work with my developing my art career is that I use my evening time as to build my art skills. And so the evening time, 7 to 9 p.m. is what the time I give myself to focus on art. So one thing I'm doing differently this week is I am, like I said, I'm a support staff. I've been in facilities where I've been like a lead teacher, I've been a co-teacher, and so like being a support staff is definitely something new, but something that I'm also, what's new for me is working with 3 to 4 year olds, which is definitely out of my comfort zone, and I'm leaning towards not liking that experience because the fact that I'm more support staff and my job doesn't like overshadow my personal life when I go home, and I don't have to like plan curriculums or have literally any contact with parents except for like how their child is doing or like anything else that comes up. So that's just been like me kind of figuring out a good where I can still work with children but I don't have to take on as much. Like one thing as a support staff I started doing this week is I started like, as documentation, I've started collecting like little quotes that the kids say throughout the day, because I feel that quotes versus like documentation, I feel coming from the actual child as just like a, I guess it's like out of context, so it can be like funny, but then writing like, so I made like little note cards of like the actual quote, and then on the back side of it I write like what, like the child's name, who they were interacting with, what it actually corresponds with, and like to create that as preschool support staff or just as a lead teacher, co-teacher, you're supposed to like provide that documentation to show what the child is interested in and like their development. Posted them in the classroom because they had a board, so I thought it'd be fun to just show like little fun quotes throughout the week or day for parents to see if they want to. Teacher, that is like what I would like, just like something that's more creative from the child's point of view, and creating an environment that is more open and silly and fun and not like systematic. Like I made more of these while I was in the classroom when they were like busy during lunch break or like after snack, but it's just like little quotes, and I just write it in my non-dominant hand to make it look like it's written by them, to kind of provide that kind of aesthetic of like the child's writing it. And then I would just write it on my phone like Samsung notepad, and then I made a list, and this was only like I found like 3 to 5 quotes, and as an introverted kind of teacher, or like my personality in the classroom is I've always been like in the background, so I'm able to kind of like observe a child without them feeling like I'm being overbearing, and I'm kind of able to have a more natural, I guess, more authentic of what they're actually experiencing, because I don't have, I guess, like an overwhelming personality, or in the sense like I have more of like a background personality, so I'm able to kind of just observe. I would put tape up here and then put it on the wall, so then when you flip it, you'll write it upright, obviously, so you can actually read it while it's flipped, to get context of like what they were doing as a more observational documentation of like why they were saying that, or how that corresponds to their everyday day-to-day learning experience. 2 to 3 year olds, and it's fun because it's like not specific, like they're not like memorizing and having to rewrite the alphabet, but they're starting to, even at a preschool age, the foundations of starting to recognize the numbers, so then their preparation for preschool and kindergarten to learn based on what they're already interested in, because even as an adult, we don't learn as much when we're forced to learn something we're not even interested in. But if you want to learn something, if you want to take a class but then you tweak it a little bit to do for like what you're interested in, or even like how your learning is, if you're a more visual learner, then learn that thing in a more visual way. That's like you're basically supporting yourself from your strengths and not having to put yourself in the system, but making the system work for you. And so that's essentially what Reggio Emilia is. I mean, it's more in depth than that. Like there's different ways that you can work with that aspect. You can be more like cutthroat with it and specific and just like more academic about it. I have made like alphabet, I put letters on like rocks that I painted. And then I actually made like little cardstock of where I would spell out like simple words, things I noticed the kids were already interested in. Like there were a few boys and a few girls that were interested in cars. So I put like truck and kind of things that are correlated with that. And then like kids were interested in animals. So I would put like cat, dog, or like home. And I created a game where then they would like it was kind of like flashcards, but I used as like thicker card stock, and then I would like have them match the letters to the actual letters, and I had a picture on the side, so if they obviously couldn't read it, they could look at the picture. And obviously this depends on the age group, because if as a teacher, if you're not engaged in the classroom, then your kids aren't engaged. And so that's one thing you have to look into, like what activity you're doing. Are you interested in the activity? Because if you notice the kids aren't interested in the activity, then maybe you shouldn't be think about it. Like if you as a teacher are not interested in the activity you're trying to teach, and you're seeing it as like, oh, this is what I have to do, like be Miss Frizzle of your class.